What's going on, everybody? This is the Growing Up Italian podcast, and today I have a special guest, Premium Pete.
That's right, man. Also known as Pietro.
Pietro, what's your government? Are we allowed to say your
Yeah,
government
for
name?
sure. Peter Gibaldi.
Peter Gibaldi, nice
Yeah.
Italian kid.
Yeah.
From Brooklyn.
Not the Gibraltars, or does anyone know about the Gibraltar? They're from Italy. Somewhere. The Gibraltar. You ever heard of Rocket Gibraltar or something like that? You ever heard it? Yeah. If you
No.
look it up, you'll see it. But
Wait, what part of Italy is your family from?
Sicily, Casamaro di Golf. But you know
Oh,
what?
that's why you asked me if I was from Sicily.
Yeah. You know what it is too? Shouts to this gracious hall we're in. I just cracked open a nice can of Sprite. You know, it's funny. Growing up, it's funny when you say growing up Italian. I don't want to jump right into it. I'll let you eat it. But when you say like where my family is from, like we would see them every once in a while.
Mhm.
And
The
I would
ones
never
from the other side.
yeah,
you
and I
saying?
would never even know I hadn't. So for instance, some holidays, they're like your cousins are coming in from Italy, but we were out of touch from them. Like I as I grow older and older, I would say, right, I'm just like a New York Italian. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because I would go, there and be like, this pizza sucks. They would come here and they'd be like, this pizza sucks. But I would have cousins I wouldn't even know of. Like, I remember I may have been like 15 years old. And we had a bunch of, your cousins, some families coming in from Italy. Bro, they had blonde hair, blue eyes. Sergio, was coming in. Isabella, fucking Rocco. And I didn't even, some of them didn't even speak English. And one of my grandmothers spoke Italian. And when she passed away, I feel like a lot of the family, like a lot of us kids, didn't speak anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would speak a couple of words with her, but when it wasn't necessary in the house, like when it didn't become a priority, nobody spoke anymore. But I guess the reason why I'm bringing that up for is because it's funny when you mention Italy, and I think about all my cousins I have over there. I don't even know them all like that.
You got to add them on Facebook.
Yeah,
They all start popping
on
up.
the Facebook.
Yeah. We got the amicizia.
Yeah.
So, Pete, I've known about Pete for a while. I told him the story today when we first met up that the first time I heard of him was with Static.
Static Selector.
When I used to run around with him a lot.
Producer, father,
Hip-hop lover.
and just a good dude, man.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, I like
He
him a
actually
lot.
made the beat our intro to the podcast.
Really?
Yeah. I was with him and he cut it up. So when one day I was like with Static, I forgot what event we were at, but he was like, "That's Pete. He's Italian. You should know who he is." So, years later, obviously I've been following your stuff for a while. Then Sopranos Con, Evan connected us.
Yeah, shouts to Up North Trips, Ev Boogie. Another good dude, man.
Yeah, another good guy. And then I heard you did a lot of work with Sopranos Con, so I'm like, this is perfect. If in Sopranos Con there's a picture of you and Federico, aka Furio,
Yeah,
with the gun to your
in my
head.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? So the guy who made that meme is his name is Mr. Morris, right? I think he's like Mr. Morris 55. If you check out his page, he's got hysterical memes. I mean, he's the one that put like all the 50 memes when they were making like 50 as Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Oh, of all the Soprano memes you're talking about?
He don't make all the Soprano memes. But
Oh,
he's
because
made
there was a
meme-
wall there of like all the Sopranos memes.
That's Danny. That's
Oh,
time.
Danny did
that's
that,
time
okay.
immemorial.
Yeah.
That's Danny. He's made some. I mean, the one with Uncle Junior where you see the girl's legs and it says greetings from Boca.
Yeah.
That's
he's
just-
great.
Yeah.
That's why his page is like how he got so many followers.
Bro, the meme,
Quality content.
One of the best Soprano memes I ever seen was when Tony Soprano and Carmela are in bed, and it has like a cloud over her head, and he says he's thinking about like something like he can't wait to get to the Bing tomorrow to heat up the Chinese food from yesterday.
When someone ate it.
Yeah. So it was classic. But anyway,
Someone like that had to watch Sopranos like 10 times, like one after another, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Like you just watch an episode and try to find a meme from it,
I have a lot of friends like that, and sometimes I forget that I don't have friends like that. So what I mean by that, it's not only Sopranos, it's just all mob movies. I have friends that I talk to, maybe I'm like, he says, you want something to eat? I say, no, I'm good. He goes, I thought you said you were right. You know what I mean? I thought you said you were right, Spider. So we may use lines, like even in Donnie Brasco, where it's like, I die with you, Donnie, or like, I don't know if you remember the part when Al Pacino goes into the barbershop. He says, I don't know, Don the Jew. I said I know him. I didn't say I fucked him. You know, and so we use lines like, you know, like
my friend Nicky's like that. My friend Nick Donza, he especially Sopranos, he literally watched Sopranos, I think he said like 7 times, like from beginning to end. So I'm gonna admit something. I've watched so many Sopranos episodes, but after the con, I started watching from the beginning, and I'm like in season 5, almost at the end. Like I wanted to watch it from start to end, just so I could understand, you know, everything that goes on. You know.
Sure. You know, I think like Goodfellas. You think about like, you know, with the part with you know, Tony Darrow, Joe Pesci, where, you know, could you believe this prick last week asked me to christen his kid? You know, I charged $7,000. There are certain lines that forever live on. You know, even like in Casino, when you think about when they're in the desert, and he goes, "And what the fuck are you doing on TV anyway?" You know, and so I guess what I'm saying is a lot of friends I have, we live that life.
You use that in everyday conversations.
Yeah. So, you know, and you know, you think about Sopranos, like, you know, what these guys pulled off at Sopranos Con was amazing because, you know, Sopranos, like, I remember we used to rush home. You know, like I was just showing you a panel live episode that I did with, like, Big Pussy, I keep on
Catherine.
saying, well, her name is Charmaine Bucco.
Charmaine Bucco.
But
Tony had the hots for her in the show, too. That was an episode I just watched yesterday where he had the dream and she was in the bed, and Artie's like, she likes it like this. I'm like, wow.
Fucking Artie. But no, you know, it's just, I had the, there's a point I was fucking making, and I had the panel, but I was trying to think of a fucking point I was making. But it's amazing what they've done. But, that's what I was making. I was like, I told the crowd, make some noise if you were one of the people who watched Sopranos and ran home and put out a spread on Sunday night and treated Sunday nights before Sopranos at 9, so about 7:30, 8 o'clock, put out a spread and treated it like a Super Bowl. Make some fucking noise.
Yeah.
And everybody was going nuts because a lot of people did that. You know, that's how we treated it. You know, we ran home. I feel like Sunday nights haven't been the same since Sopranos have been off the air.
Are you a Game of Thrones guy or no?
No.
You never watched it?
No. You know, it's so crazy. I get some people asking, how'd you never watch it? I said, I don't, you know what it is? It's like I'm open-minded. I'm not just an old school kid. I believe in the old school. I was raised on it. I believe on I love classical stuff. You know, like that shit that is classic to me. But I just never got into Game of Thrones. I don't know. Maybe one day, you know. I got into Walking Dead.
That was a big TV show, Game of Thrones. I actually got into it later on too.
I got into Walking Dead, and I swear to God, I binge watched it. And I don't know how some people binge watch shit because I would start at like 9 o'clock.
In the morning?
No, at night.
Oh, at night?
You know? And I'll be up to like 5, 6 in the morning. I would walk upstairs. My son's in his bed. I would walk up. I was like a zombie walking up. I watched like a half a season, you know? And then the next day I was shocked because, you know, nothing stops.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you got to have time to watch TV. You know, I think about like when we watch The Sopranos, like, you know, we ran
episode
home.
at a time.
Yeah, but, you know,
but
you got to have time.
You know, it's funny you said that because I was thinking about that with Sopranos. Like today, if someone wanted to watch Sopranos today, it would be easy. You just have to have the HBO service, and you could literally watch every episode because it's available on HBO. But back then, when it first came out, you would need to go out and buy the DVDs. It was a little harder to do it, you know?
Yeah, but more importantly, you could do it now, but you have to have time. And that's to me, like, that's the toughest thing. If you're somebody that's moving and shaking and got a lot going on, or you got kids or you know, whatever you got, it's hard to. For me, it would be hard to watch the whole season over again. You know.
Mm-hmm. So how does it being an Italian guy in the hip hop world and the creative world?
Yeah. I think
like you're a black sheep, similar to me, because
you know,
I'm like the only one in my family with tattoos. Everybody's very old school,
you
know.
I get all this. You know, why do you have the tattoo?
Yeah.
You know, that's a disgust.
My dad calls it tartu.
Yeah,
like Tartufo.
You know.
And now, you know what's funny? After I got tattoos, my dad got tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, he got like 2 or 3.
You know, listen, Italian dads. You know, we got to give them a lot of credit, and especially in this day. Now, somebody's listening to this 30 years from now, I don't know, but we got to give Italian dads a lot of credit because they're hardworking men They love their families. I've seen it. They give less to themselves, so they give more to the kids. And they were raised by men who weren't really the most loving people. You know.
Yeah, that's a good. That's really.
You know, like my father's name's Angelo. My father's father, I never met him. His name was Nunzio.
Good, no. Your grandfather.
Yeah. He owned the diaper route. Okay.
A diaper route?
Yeah, which is crazy. You know,
he would just go around delivering diapers.
I guess
all
they
day.
used to clean them and then drop them off. I don't know, how that worked at the time.
I can see that.
I guess they didn't have the fucking Pampers with the fucking P stripe. Let me tell you something. That whoever invented that P stripe on the diaper, I don't know if you ever seen it.
Saves lives.
It lets you know like when they peed. Man, I wish I had, my first kid, they didn't have that. My second kid, I was like, oh, yep, he peed,
Did you change your kids' diapers? You take pride
absolutely,
in that.
absolutely.
Because me, when my kids were first born, I was like, I think I could handle this. I wrap sandwiches for a living, so I should be able to do this. So, over time I got better. But like, I know some guys that say, oh, I'll never change my kid's diaper. I'm like, you're not really a man then. Like,
I mean, I don't know what it is. I know a couple of people like that too. And, for me, look, I'll tell you a quick story and then I want to get back. I don't want to lose the fact I meant on Italian men. So I don't want to lose it because it's funny when you start just chopping up on podcasts and get some great stories, we lose it. But check this out. When you talk about changing diapers, I know some men that are like that. Like, oh, I don't change diapers. I never thought like that. You have to understand. I had my daughter. My daughter's going to be 20 years old. I had my daughter when she became 2 years old. When she turned 2 years old, me and her mother were divorced. So I had her on the weekends, and I would come extra days. I had no idea what I was doing. I seriously, I used to go to thank God I come from an Italian family. I would go on. They were always busy. I would go over there on the weekends and hang out with them. I had my niece. We'd get together. But from an early time, I wanted to learn how to be, involved in her life, and that considered changing diapers. When I drove her around, and if it smelled, I didn't just leave it. So,
a kid get rash. And,
yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I see
some.
some fucking parents, they get their kids with the fucking diaper. It's like 5 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like underneath. So anyway, here's a quick story. One day, my ex-wife drops her off to me, and we're hanging out. I was living in Mill Basin at the time, and I didn't realize this, but then she went to the bathroom and she said, do. So I come and grab her. I open up her diaper. I lay her on the floor. I put the diaper mat down, and I lay her on the floor, and the fucking thing is blue shit. So I said, holy shit. So I called my mother,
Blue?
Blue. The shit was blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, Ma, I don't know what's going on, but, so, well, what did you do? My mother was always like one of those blaming people. Like, well
what'd you give her?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know why. It's blue. So, she said, maybe you call the doctor. So I'm bugging out. All of a sudden I realize, I look, thank God, she ate a blue crayon. But I was bugging. She had a blue crayon, so she shitted out the crayon. But there's a point I'm making. I would never know that if I didn't change the diaper, and I feel like, you gotta be able, like, changing, there's nothing fun about changing shit or piss. But, it made me really involved, and I appreciated that growing up, And I think men, to be honest with you, it's like, I don't ever want to be, regardless.
I don't like when a woman does, it's your turn, that kind of situation either.
Yeah.
Like, that's corny and that's whack too.
Yeah.
But, a father has to hold it down.
Of course,
especially for the little ones.
Of course, and going back for a second to what I was saying about our fathers' and how, like, I'm sure they didn't, like, show so much affection and all the love. And, sometimes Italians are different of how they show love. They're stubborn, sometimes closed-minded. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of love, but sometimes they don't show it like.
Or they don't know how to.
Yeah. Well, because think about how they were raised. Mm-hmm. So I like that the newer generation, is all about showing love and about changing diapers or about doing whatever it takes. I have friends. Look, I'll be honest with you too. I've met girls. I've been with even my son's mother. She does very well for herself. She does a great job. A lot of times over things we would split things. And my friends who I grew up with, Italian kids, are like, what kind of man are you? You're splitting things with her? Like, sometimes she wanted to take care of a bill. Like, when we were dating, she wanted to take care of a bill. And they were like, I grew up, we never let a woman pay. But there were times where
it was nice to see her
offer.
offer.
Yeah,
once
she was
in a
like,
while,
she was like, yo, I'm paying for this. I don't care. And then, you make it up or whatever. But what I mean is being more open-minded. Like, some things I feel like it's not about me getting a meal. It's about me respecting that she wants to show me that she is also a provider as well. And to be honest with you, you would want that, because growing up, I met a lot of women that that expected men to take care of them, and they really couldn't take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And you would want somebody, God forbid anything happened to you, that could
take care
of you and your family.
Hold it down.
Because a lot of guys will talk like that, but a lot of these guys that get locked up, they don't have anything.
Yep. And then they leave their girl with nothing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're expecting a handout from fucking Joey Boom Bots. That's why Al Pacino said in Donnie Brasco, when Sonny Black was in the can, 200 fuzzles, week in, week out, I gave him.
It adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some real life stuff. But I feel like people like that think too old school, because it's really not like that. Like, how many women really stay home nowadays? It's rare.
What's wrong with a 2-income family?
Yeah, it's rare.
What's wrong with that? I look at it, even for me as a freelancer, sometimes women don't get enough credit. Even me as
so that's what you are, right? A freelancer.
I
have people that ask me, what does Pete do?
I think it's funny. I get
like, does Pete work?
I feel like
people say that about me too, so don't feel bad.
No.
People go, you don't work at the shop. What? Just because you don't see the work I do? I'm not always physically there slicing the prosciutto doesn't mean I don't work.
Yeah, it's like even like when you do freelance or you work from home, people think you don't work. People think just because if you go into an office, that's work. Just because if you grab a hammer or a jackhammer and are breaking up some concrete, that's work. That's forms of work, but a lot of people do different work, whether that be on phone calls and conversations and, bringing projects.
Building friendships,
Yeah, building intellectual property, branding, helping grow things, but yeah, so it's hard. Whenever someone asks me, like, what I do, it's like, it's always hard. And it's funny how you say some people don't know. I think we're in a world these days where people look at people who are doing things as to what they do. Like, people, when they see people doing things, like, well, what exactly do they do? Like, I hear that. It's not only from me. I hear that from other people. When I see somebody who's doing well,
They're like, what does he do?
Yeah.
Like, the perfect example for that is growing up Italian. People are like, but what do you guys do?
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll do whatever,
But I think that the people who get it, and I think the people who don't get it, I don't think anybody should ever be upset about it. I think they should try to explain to them. I always say like this, like, if you don't know Premium Pete, I used to use this in my mindset. Like somebody would say like, yo, that's Premium Pete. You don't know Premium Pete? Oh man, you're crazy. You don't know. And I used to jump in and be like, no, it's okay, because everybody may not know who I am, but how do you get them to know who you are? That's how you should think. You shouldn't think like, how the fuck you don't know who I am? You should think, yo, how do I get them to know? And that could be maybe a different angle of things. It's like, look, I've been involved in hip hop, loving hip hop. Always been Italian. Always stayed true to myself. Always stayed true to who I am. But it's like I would have different people on. I would have Gary V on. He would put me on his platforms, introduce me to his audience. Mm-hmm. So you never know
who's a fan of you.
Yeah, you don't never know who the audience. Look, I had the founder of Venmo come on. He pitched it to his people. Maybe there's like these like super duper, app developer nerds listening to the show that I don't know that are now fans of the show. So I look at it like that.
That's definitely good. And if you guys haven't listened to the Premium Pete show, I really recommend it, especially for hip hop. But you do have all different kinds of guests. But when I think of your show, I think of like mostly hip hop oriented. Like I listened to the China Mac episode, the Johnny Shipes episode. So if you guys want to check him out, he actually just did 2 really good episodes with a couple of Italians that you guys will really like. The Big Time Tommy episode, which I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
And Tony
Sirico,
a.k.a. Paulie Walnuts. What do you hear? What do you say?
We did a good one with Furio, too. I don't know if you ever see. Yeah, that was months back.
I got to check that one out.
But, yeah, I try to, like, here's the thing, too. And like I was telling you off air, I truly try to be diversified. I know what it is growing up being Italian, pun intended. I know what it is, podcasting. I started very early on when people would make a joke out of it. I know what it is to be in streetwear and sneakers. I know what it is to be a bad kid, be a good kid. I know what it is to be a father. So anyway, having said all that, I try to lend my advice or work with things that I like and I love, but more importantly, you think about it, like they used to make this joke, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. It's like a lot of things you got to be involved in where people don't even know what it is until you're making
and
it.
Finally it'll hit.
Yeah, I used to have friends. Look, I grew up with, you're Italian, you grew up with kids that fucking say all this shit. I used to have kids telling me, like, bro, in 2009 when we started podcasting, they're like, why would anyone want to hear your voice? This is what my friends used to say in my neighborhood. They loved me, but they were like, they just didn't see it.
They just don't understand.
They were like, you're wasting your time. Are you making money, though? Are you making money?
Yeah,
and I said, like, no, we're
like
not making no money. Well, what the fuck are you wasting your time? And you think about it, when I say to myself, like, fuck, almost 10 years later, like, I traveled the world because of the Combat Jack show and Premium Pete show. I made tons of money from it, well, I don't want to say tons of money, but we made a job.
Mm-hmm.
We made a nice salary.
But then, you were telling me something that, I really needed to hear, that podcasting opened a door to other things. Maybe you did a podcast with somebody and then another business opportunity came out of it.
Bro,
which is so
important. Plenty of those happen. I'll give you an example. One of my dear friends named Mark Zablow, he owns this marketing company called Cogent. He introduced me to tons of restaurateurs, like tons. And he introduced me to, the guys who own Catch. I don't know if you ever heard of the restaurant Catch Steak. He owns me, introduced me to this other guy who owns And Pizza. It's like these flatbreads that are all over. They got like 36 stores. Anyway, I met the guy that he introduced me to, had him on the podcast. And then we had a talk where we turned he has about 700 employees. We turned an internal newsletter that they used to write up into a podcast that was like 3 minutes, a weekly one. And
so instead of reading all that, you can listen to it.
Yeah, so I worked with him and his staff, and we found somebody that we felt had a good voice, and I helped them with the program of it, and the equipment, and we built a studio in their headquarters. And we, came up with this where once a week, we put some bells and whistles on it, and meaning when you listen to it, so the employees get to listen instead of reading it. They were
easier.
They were here like, hey, what's going on, team? This is the top things you should know this week that's going on in the company. And it had some cool little music transitions. Mm-hmm. And anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, so my friend, think about what I'm saying. My friend introduces me to this guy. Me and him sit and do a podcast. The podcast did real well. People loved it. It's a great story. Me and him became cool. And then he invites me in and then gives me opportunity to make money with him. And we've been doing that for about, a year and change.
Yeah, I like that. And I like at the end of your podcast how you say, if you know somebody that wants to do this show, a podcast show, or someone that has a company that they want to promote.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you really reach out, and you're like the pioneer to this stuff.
Yeah, look, I'll give you an example. In 2009, when I got into podcasting, I got in with the late, great Combat Jack, Reggie Osei. He was an entertainment lawyer. I'll never forget this, too, and this is why if anybody laughs at you or you doubt it, never stop believing in yourself. I'm not trying to be corny or cliche. I'm just trying to be honest. And I'll never forget, we were at some dinner, and it was like I forgot who was for. It was like a big event, and we were sitting down with some black tie or whatever. And everybody walked around, and we're at the table, and they're like, what do you do? What do you guys do? And he was like, oh, we have a podcast. And they were like, oh, that's cute. And they literally, like, kind of smirked. Because who was a doctor? Who was this? Who did that? Who was a lawyer? And he was a lawyer. In my mind, I was like, bro, I don't know why you didn't say you're a lawyer. Forget about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I was a lawyer, I'd be like, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And I would say that just to say it any chance I got.
Yeah. Especially if a guy's like, oh, that's cute. Like, I feel like there was a shot against us. But, I look at what it is now, and you think about it. There's over 750,000 podcasts, And
there's going to be even more.
Yeah, it's going to be $1 billion industry. So, people say it's cute, and then look,
So with that being said, if anybody wants to do a podcast, is curious about it, reach out to Pete.
Yeah.
He does this for a living.
Yeah, I always tell people, there's a lot of shows I produce. I see, here's the thing. I love being on the mic, and I also love doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
So you edit your episode and everything?
No, I have somebody edit
Okay.
it. Yeah, but I mean, like, but editing is simple. You always want somebody good. So I have somebody good, and I never left that. But meaning just like scripting out shows.
Yeah, producing
I think shows should be more seasons now. How do you get into that? Explain it to people. Like I wouldn't if I had to do it. Like I have a weekly show, and I wouldn't advise that to anyone no more.
Do like once a month?
Yeah, I get calls from all the people all the time. Somebody will meet me and we'll get on a call. They'll be like, hey, I've been thinking about doing this, and I tell them all the time, and everybody I tell, they understand. In this day and age, I wouldn't unless if you have money and you just want to kick it on a podcast, and that's cool. But if you want to create something, I think the way to go, and this is too much gems for the growing up Italian audience, but I would do a season. I would do something based off of something. And I tell that to all the people. I tell that, whoever I speak to that
That's a good idea. Maybe Growing Up Italian could do that. Like,
because what are you going to do every week?
Do a month where you just talk about how much money to put in an envelope. So four episodes of just what goes into it.
Or different types of stuff of Growing Up Italian, or
sauce
different types
gravy.
of generation. Yeah,
that could be a double season.
Well, too many people have.
Before we go, is it sauce or gravy?
It's funny too, because I found myself on a video. I did an episode with Scott Storch, and at the end I said gravy, and I said, "What the fuck?" I never, hardly ever said gravy. To me, it was always sauce.
Yeah. I'm a sauce guy too.
But
in the Sopranos world, though, it's favored gravy mostly.
Yeah, I don't understand why, but that was always it. But yeah, I mean, look, back to what you were saying about hip hop and being Italian, man. It's like, for me, it's just about like being yourself, man. I've been able to form a lot of great relationships with a lot of people, and that's just based off of purity, just based off wanting to support people. I've always been like that. You know how certain Italians are, like how we want to lend a helping hand. We want to. Sometimes I've done things for people. We're not even wanting anything back, and I feel like if you're that type of person, it always comes back to you tenfold.
Yep. I agree. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, come on, man.
Guys, check out Pete. Definitely, if you want to just give him one chance, check out the Big Time Tommy Show and the Paulie Walnut Show, because I just listened to it the other day and I was cracking up.
Yeah, it's
They're
classic.
both quality content.
Classic. And Growing Up Italian, man. It's such a relatable. If you're Italian, it's such a relatable, thing. So
we gotta get Aunt Barb on the next show, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Because our followers would love her.
Absolutely.
She's like the perfect model of what growing up
Next
Italian
time I come,
is.
we got to call her. Or we can call her at a later time and add it to a clip.
Exactly. Let's do it. All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah. Peace.